Colin Powell once said, "There are no secrets to success. It's the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure." And we couldn't agree more. This is Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. We'll talk to people from all walks of life and pick their brains about their journey, the process, and the ups and downs to becoming successful. You want inspiration and motivation? It all starts here. This is the Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. And now your host, Kyle Sullivan.
What's going on, champions? Welcome to another episode of Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. Today, our guest is Rachel King. She's a serial entrepreneur starting at the age of 12. Come on now, we got to hear about that. This work ethic and drive at an early age led to 7 years of military service. Utilizing the discipline and skills, she moved forward to owning multiple businesses and acquired the desire to continue expanding her talents. The passion for law was instilled from birth from her father's law career. She followed in his footsteps, opening her law firm in 2014. Combination of entrepreneurship, discipline, training, and understanding of law allows her to be a rising leader for California, Arizona, Texas, Kentucky, with her firm specializing in business law, family law, estate law, real estate law, and it's growing. She just does a little bit of things, y'all, a little bit of things. Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show today. You have a wealth of experience. I'm excited to learn from you today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, reading over that, it's like, dang, like we could go so many different directions. But the first one is we got the bio. We know what you do, but who is Rachel behind the bio?
I'm a mom. Probably takes more time than anything, but I really and truly, I think I'm a business owner. I love what I do as a lawyer, but owning a law firm allows me to both be a lawyer and own a company. And I think truly at heart, like you said, going back to when I was, a preteen, I have been just so drawn to entrepreneurship and business ownership. And so I really, really am a business owner at heart. I think if you took away my law firm, I would have a much harder time practicing law. And so I bring my business skills and my business ownership and leadership kind of into every area that I do, whether it's, being a mom, running my law firm, practicing law with my clients, or running a farm. I own a farm as well.
I love it. So talk to us about what was it? 12 years old, started the entrepreneurship, got bit by the bug. What was that? And yeah, what did you learn, being a preteen going, okay, I want to sell things. I want to build a little business here.
I didn't know actually that I was starting a company. I think that's one of the important factors is it wasn't like at 12 years old, I said, I'm going to go open a business. At 12 years old, I knew that I wanted certain things and my parents just told me no a lot. So that was one of the places that it really started was, well, if I have my own money, then they don't get to say no to me as much, right? They, of course, still said no quite a bit, but that was where it started. So I actually started babysitting because that was very easy. For me in my neighborhood, there was a lot of really young kids. There was no babysitters. So I became the local babysitter. But right around 12, sometime in my 12th year, I started getting too many babysitting jobs and I couldn't do them all. So I farmed them out to my friends. It was truly like, it's so silly to say, but it was like the Babysitters Club came out right around the same time, I think. It was already in existence. But I had like my own little Babysitters Club where I had customers and I couldn't do all of the babysitting jobs. So I gave them to my friends and I kind of, took a little piece off of the top. I also really wanted business cards. And I don't know why I really wanted business cards. I just thought it would be really fun to have my name on a business card. So I went out and I had business cards made and I called it Baby City. And I had my name and my phone number. And at that point, that was when my mom actually said, you know, you have a company. And that was the first time that I had been told. And I think I realized that I started a business. From there, I started a few other ones over my teenage career, but that was how it all started. And it was totally accidental. And I wanted to just make a buck so that I could buy my own stuff.
I love that. It's like, I just don't want to be told no so often. And I want to make my own money. And it's funny. I had a similar thing like that with mowing my lawn and mowing a couple other lawns. Is I didn't want to do it anymore. So I recruited buddies to mow, and I just made sure the job got done. So it's like very similar. It's like, we'll do this. I want to empower. What is it? Empower and delegate people to do that. So
right. I'm a really good delegator. I've learned I can delegate really well. And it's like the Tom Sawyer. I don't know if you've ever read Tom Sawyer, but it's like the Tom Sawyer method. Like it kind of just started that way. It was great.
Yeah. And how much of kind of that entrepreneurial spirit, I know in the bio it says, man, you kind of walked into law because of your father, but like, how did that growing up, having the dad that built business, having that be in y'all's family, what were some of the lessons you learned there? And what did you take away from that kind of growing up in that world?
I wanted to be a lawyer. I think being a teenager, I thought probably for all of the wrong reasons, you know, it sounded really cool it sounded very powerful. It was attractive how much money, you know, at least it seemed that you could make from the outside. So I felt like it was an attractive career. My dad owned a law firm. So I was raised, I'm from a divorced family, but both families that I grew up in were self-employed. So self-employment was really kind of the only thing I knew. And then being a lawyer seemed like a really great way, again, to have the power, make the money that I wanted to make, because again, I wanted to be able to buy whatever I wanted, and delegate the right way. As a teenager, probably even into my 20s, people would say like, why do you want to be a lawyer? And I remember this sweet older woman once said, why do you want to be a lawyer? And I looked at her and I said, do you want to know the real answer? Or do you just want to hear like what everybody wants to hear? She said, no, sweetheart, tell me the real answer. And I said, because what sounds better than getting paid to tell people what to do? And she was crestfallen, you know, but it was really like that. Now there's other reasons to practice, but that's kind of how I ended up in law. And it was the drive that it kind of gave me the drive to get through it. And then I opened my law firm ultimately because I wanted to practice law the way that I wanted to do it my way. And then again, I have this very natural entrepreneur spirit. I don't think I do well under somebody else's kind of rules. That's why I got out of the army, actually. So I thought, well, I think if I'm going to be the most successful lawyer that I can be, I should open my own law firm, run a company that I want to be proud of, and practice law the way I think law should be practiced. And so I did all of that starting in 2014.
Awesome. And how has things shifted since you started that? What was it like in the beginning, whether with law or with building something? And now, I mean, you're 9 years into your own thing. How has it shifted? What have you learned in the midst of all of it?
The biggest lesson, well, I've learned quite a few lessons. I think we could break that up probably into 2 whole shows. I've learned different lessons as an attorney, and I've learned different lessons as a business owner. I made it a real point when I first started my law firm to not get sucked into the practice of law. And what I mean by that is I watched a lot of other attorneys that went out, and we call it hanging your shingle, right? You're going to go out and you're going to start your own firm practicing law. And what I noticed about the ones that were unsuccessful is that they got too wrapped up in the practice of law and they forgot that they were running a business. So I made sure I put rules in place that I was going to treat my law firm like a company every step of the way and not get pulled into the practice of law. That's a much harder thing to do than one realizes. And I think it's true of all businesses. You offer a service or you sell a good, but ultimately you have to keep your business alive. And for me, that meant establishing very hard lines. For example, I made a rule for myself, right, when I started practicing, that unless you were a sibling of mine, a parent of mine, or a child of mine, you were not going to get free legal advice no matter what. And that was because I could tell that it would end up in a lot of gray area with friends or people coming out of the woodwork, asking for legal advice. So it was just, if you were not in one of those relationships, you just don't get free legal advice or even discounted legal advice, quite frankly. And then same for, rules of, I don't really do pro bono. And I know that's a real controversial position to take. Pro bono in law is free legal services. And I don't do that. And I get a lot of people that say you should. But the reason that I don't is because I need all of my clients to be invested in their case. And the only way that I've learned how to have them be invested is with a financial investment. I can't want, for example, your children more than you want your children. And so I had to put some of those in, but it gets really hard when you've got, a mom on the phone saying, my kids are getting taken away. Can you just help? And it's like, I could just help you, but I can't because I need some money, and it gets to be an emotional kind of tug of war within me. But I fall back to the business. It's a business. And I'm not rich enough to be a philanthropist yet. So I still have to make a living.
Yeah. Rachel, I think that's a great thing to kind of camp on is we start businesses because we want to provide a service. We want to solve a problem. We want to give something. And most would do it for free if they could. How do you continue to set that boundary and hold to it? Because I'm sure there's times where you're like, really, like, I want to do this, but I got to fall back on it's a business. I need to produce. How do you continue to stay like grounded in, okay, this is what I say, this is what I'm going to do?
I have a really great team. So I will say that I still, I'm human, guys. I'm human. And I get those phone calls too, where it's like, oh, I could just help. And sometimes I even tell my office, I'm going to do this. And then they, call me and say, I don't, they see it from a different perspective and they explain to me sometimes, let's look forward 6 months or a year. This is where we're going to be as a firm. And this is how much it's going to cost us emotionally, because it's not just a financial contribution. It's how much there's an emotional toll that every client takes. And so oftentimes they can see it as well. And they can remind me of how that works. I'm also often reminded of, somebody once told me you can't take good to the grocery store to buy cheese. And I have kids that I have to support. So as much as I would really, really love to represent everybody for free, like I have to pay my bills. And I've gotten real good. It was so hard at the beginning, but I've gotten real good. I tell clients that I'm really sorry. I'd love to help you, but I have to buy groceries. So you need to pay me. I say it a little nicer.
So you need to pay me. If you've heard that from Rachel, send us a message. Tell her, let us know that that's real. I love that. What are some of the hurdles that you're currently facing, that you're currently, 9 years in, you're hitting probably another break point of growth? What are some of those challenges and hurdles that you're going through right now?
I think the thing that I faced actually last year Well, actually, I faced two so far. In 2019, I made a huge mistake, and I guess it was between 2014 and 2019, and I just had no work-life balance. I think everybody that started a business that has maybe not even been successful, but just has thrown everything that they have into their company really understands having no work-life balance. And I was facing very serious burnout in 2019. I actually told my husband, I don't know that I'm going to be able to practice law for another 10 years, which, as you can imagine, was quite surprising given the amount of debt and how long people are expected to be attorneys. So in 2019, I really took a look at myself. That was not an option to not practice law for my career. But I looked at what I needed to do within myself in order to maintain being able to be a practicing attorney and own a law firm. I know the pandemic was horrible for many, many people. For me, I feel like this is a taboo thing to say, but it was one of the most amazing things that could have happened in my life at that time. Because again, I was facing burnout and it was like a forced opportunity. I'd already decided before the pandemic that I needed to make some kind of change. And I'd already implemented some of the things to create a better work-life balance. But the pandemic gave me the opportunity to actually implement them so that they could become habit forming. So that was one of the biggest changes that I had to go through. Now in 2023, though, I'm at a different point in my career where I feel like I have the experience to do an amazing job and be really, really great at what I do. And I'm still young enough to have the energy to do everything I want to do. So I'm actually reshaping my firm. I'm restructuring and I'm really focusing on strategic litigation, which is very challenging. It was a really difficult decision to go from having a very successful law firm, doing 7 figures, and then deciding, oh my gosh, I'm going to completely pivot and try something new because I think it'll give me a little bit more self-fulfillment. And what does that look like? And go back to the drawing board. It's almost like starting a new company. So we'll see. But that's what I'm facing right now is kind of how to do this all over again.
Wow, I love that. And again, the courage to do so is a huge piece. Because like you said, you've built and ran and sustained and scaled a very successful, in a lane of the road, and you're still on the road. It's just you've shifted lanes, and so that's really, really exciting. What are you learning in the midst of the shift right now personally? Like, okay, as you're leading this thing and leading the change.
I think I really always try and fall back on it's just one step one step at a time. I'm learning what I don't know. So I'm a big fan of always trying to grow personally and professionally and get better, which is one of the reasons that I made this shift, because I really wanted to become the best at what I'm really good at. I'm really good in court. I'm really good in trial. So how can I just become the best in that rather than pretty good or really good in multiple things? So I really wanted to focus on that. I'm finding that it's kind of humbling, it's humbling to say, I was really good at this. I know I'm really good at it. And now, man, I kind of suck. I thought I was good at from a business ownership standpoint. And it's always hard, I think one of the challenging thing about learning and growing is being able to recognize that you're not always as good as you think you are. And that is for me right now, that's running a company. And I don't know how to run the company that I want to run. I know how to run the company that I was running. So I'm having to learn how to do that. And then also I am having to learn how to be even better as an attorney. And that's very humbling too, to go back and be like, oh, I can do things better. I don't know everything, and as attorneys, we're kind of arrogant by nature. So it can be hard on our egos, and it's hard on mine.
Right. Oh, that's that's attorneys, that's entrepreneurs in general. As we get into it later, like I'm better than most everybody in this, and then like, oh, this ain't it. How has it been leading through the team that you have? Because I know as business owners, is leading change can be a fun and necessary evil at times. How has that been with your team and getting them, on board and excited and going, okay, hey, this is what we're going to shift to?
Well, I will be the first to admit I have had probably the biggest area of growth as a leader. That was one of the things that I struggled with the most as a business owner, was being the right kind of leader within my company. So I still do a lot of, I don't want to say continuing ed, right? But I still focus a lot of my time and energy on learning, whether it is through silly TikTok videos or podcasts or, TEDx hosts, whatever they are, articles. I really spend a lot of time trying to grow as a leader because I think that's one of my weakest points as a business owner. As for kind of crafting the trial team that I have for this shift, it worked quite well. I was very upfront, so I didn't jump the gun on this. This was not something that I just decided very hastily to do. I'm a big believer as a business owner that you need to look at least 6 months in the future. And so I started making this decision about a year in advance with different timetables as to when I would have things done, when I would present it to my office, and when we would start the transition period. So I actually presented to my office this idea about 5 months before we were going to make the official transition. And I told them what it was going to look like. And I gave them the opportunity to leave if they did not like that business model. There was a couple of people who, for different reasons, decided they didn't like it. They were not litigators. They didn't want to be involved. They were more transactional type attorneys. Transactional people within the firm. So they left it was a mutual decision. And then from there, for, again, a variety of reasons, I had almost a complete turnover in staff. I think that was a combination of losing some of the people that I had there. We had an interesting, probably very toxic work environment for a bit. And so I kind of cleaned house and everybody left, and I was really devastated. Again, I take my office culture very seriously. I have a lot of personal growth to do as a leader, but that was really hard for me. Now, hindsight, I think it was one of the best things, because from that, I was really able to hire people with this new vision and this new mission in place. And I think I know probably everybody says that, but like we all have like the cutest kids, right? I feel like I have the best trial team that exists. So I have the cutest kids and the best trial team now, right? And so I was very lucky. I am very lucky. They're amazing. And I tell everybody that as long as I can have them, I will keep all of them. But just like I want personal growth for me, I want personal growth for them. So I hope that they all stay with me as long as they are being fulfilled professionally.
I love that. And I love the last piece because it speaks to your heart of, man, we're abundance minded. That's what I hear is going like, hey, I want you to stay here forever. But I also know that we're going to develop you and we're going to grow you. And there may be a time where you get to go further on something else. And okay, but we're going to make this the absolute best that we can in this moment. And so that's really exciting. What is through all of this, all your background, all of this, what's something that if you're going, okay, listeners, make sure that you blank, what is that thing for you as a leader, as a business owner? You've been doing it for quite some time. What's the one nugget you want them to leave with?
Oh, that's so hard, right? It's like all you have things racing through your head nonstop. There's no shortcut to like hard work. I mean, it's so corny, right? But like, there's no shortcut. It is just hard work. And if you do it and you do it every day, you will get to wherever you want to go.
I love that, because there are no shortcuts. There's no easy pill. We'd like to say that we're in a microwave culture, but we're more crockpot than microwave, and consistent behavior over time always yields the results that you want. And so I love that. Rachel, where can folks find you online? Where can they find you most if they want to learn more about you, or, reach out to you about your services?
Absolutely. I am on all the socials at The Lawyer King. So please reach out, follow, subscribe, whatever you want there. And then you can find me. You can call or text 951-834-7715. I'd love to talk to any of your viewers about their potential legal issues. But also, if you are a business owner and you don't really know where to start, or you are in a, kind of stuck, happy to help. I've worked with many business owners over time, and really we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what industry. Every single business owner faces the same challenges at one point or another, even Jeff Bezos.
Even Jeff Bezos. I love it, Rachel. Well, hey, we got one more question for you. It's the same every time. No two answers are the same, because no two people are the same. At Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast, I want to know, what does it mean to be a champion to you?
I think being a champion is being able to really be my own hero in a way that, and I think that's maybe just being so proud of being the best version of myself in every minute, every moment and every minute. We can't always do the right thing, and we can't always make the best choice. But I tell my kids, and I tell my clients, and I tell my staff, if you can make the best decision in the moment with the information that you have and the emotional capacity that you have and everything, just in that moment, you make the best decision with what you have, then that's all you can ever do. And for me, to be a champion means that I am doing exactly what I tell all of them to do.
I love it. Do the best you can with what you got. When you know better, do better. Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
You've been listening to the Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. Our passion is to talk to successful people and hear all about their journey and what it took to get there. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit up the website at unleashthechamp.com. Find us on Instagram at Kyle J. Sullivan, and hit up that Facebook page at Unleash the Champ. Remember, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving.